The disputed territory of Kashmir has been a flashpoint between India and Pakistan for decades. Both countries claim the region in its entirety, leading to protracted conflict and mistrust. Recent years have seen a marked increase in tensions, with both sides engaging in military buildups and cross-border skirmishes. The volatile situation escalated dramatically in the first week of May 2025, pushing the region to the brink of a wider war. The latest round of hostilities began with a series of targeted strikes by the Indian military. India claimed these strikes were in response to provocations from Pakistan, but Pakistan vehemently denied any involvement. What followed was a dangerous exchange of fire across the line of control, the de facto border dividing the region. Missiles, drones, and fighter jets were deployed by both sides, resulting in casualties and widespread fear among civilians caught in the crossfire. As the fighting intensified, international concern grew rapidly. The prospect of two nuclear-armed neighbors spiraling into full-fledged war sent shockwaves across the globe. The recent escalation in Kashmir began with a series of well-coordinated airstrikes carried out by the Indian Air Force. Targeting alleged militant camps within Pakistan-administered Kashmir, these strikes marked a significant departure from India's previous policy of restraint. India claimed the strikes were preemptive, aimed at neutralizing imminent threats emanating from Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Pakistan, however, vehemently denied harboring any terrorist infrastructure on its soil. Asserting that the Indian strikes had caused civilian casualties, Pakistan vowed a swift and decisive response. Within hours, Pakistani artillery retaliated, targeting Indian military positions along the line of control. The situation escalated rapidly, with both sides resorting to heavy shelling and mortar fire. Pakistan claimed to have shot down an Indian drone that had intruded into its airspace, while India released footage of what it claimed was a Pakistani drone being intercepted by its air defense systems. The exchange of drone strikes further heightened tensions, underscoring the risk of miscalculation and unintended escalation. The media in both countries played a significant role in shaping public opinion, often resorting to nationalist rhetoric and exacerbating existing prejudices. While both India and Pakistan welcomed the ceasefire, their accounts of how the truce was achieved differed significantly. These conflicting narratives reflect the deep-seated mistrust and the complex geopolitical dynamics at play in the region. India maintains that the ceasefire was a direct result of bilateral communication between the Indian and Pakistani military leadership. According to Indian officials, a hotline message from a top Pakistani military official to his Indian counterpart paved the way for the truce. India prefers to portray the ceasefire as a victory for its policy of engaging directly with Pakistan, without the need for third-party mediation. Pakistan, on the other hand, credits international pressure, particularly from the United States, for bringing India to the negotiating table. Pakistani officials claim that the US provided assurances that India would uphold the ceasefire, a claim that India has denied. These divergent narratives highlight the challenges of achieving a lasting solution to the Kashmir conflict. The lack of a shared understanding of the events leading up to the truce could easily lead to renewed tensions and mistrust in the future. The recent flare-up in Kashmir once again underscored the international community's limited leverage in mediating between India and Pakistan. While several countries and international organizations issued statements calling for restraint and dialogue, their impact on the ground remained negligible during the initial days of fighting. However, as the conflict threatened to spiral out of control, diplomatic efforts intensified. The United States, despite its waning influence in the region, played a prominent role in trying to de-escalate the situation. Senior U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance, engaged in frantic phone calls with their counterparts in both India and Pakistan. China, as Pakistan's all-weather ally and a rising power in its own right, also played a significant role in the diplomatic push for a ceasefire. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi spoke with officials in both India and Pakistan, expressing deep concern over the escalating violence and urging both sides to exercise restraint. Saudi Arabia, a close ally of both India and Pakistan, also sought to mediate between the two warring neighbors. Leveraging its close economic and religious ties with both countries, Saudi Arabia urged a peaceful resolution to the conflict. U.S. President Donald Trump claimed credit for brokering the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Trump declared that the U.S. played a central role in bringing the two sides to the negotiating table. However, both India and Pakistan downplayed U.S. involvement, questioning Trump's claims. Indian officials insisted the ceasefire was due to direct communication between their militaries. India has long resisted third-party mediation in its disputes with Pakistan. Therefore, it's unlikely India welcomed U.S. mediation. Pakistan expressed gratitude but didn't confirm Trump's claims. The conflicting accounts highlight the murky world of international diplomacy. While the United States' role in the ceasefire garnered significant media attention, the diplomatic efforts of China and Saudi Arabia were more understated yet equally impactful. Both countries, with their unique leverage and interests in the region, engaged in quiet diplomacy to defuse the crisis and prevent a wider conflagration. China, as Pakistan's closest ally and a rising global power, wields considerable influence in Islamabad. Beijing also has growing economic interest in the region, including the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project that passes through Pakistan-administered Kashmir. A wider conflict between India and Pakistan would jeopardize these investments and potentially drag China into a confrontation with India. Saudi Arabia, on the other hand, maintains close ties with both India and Pakistan. As the custodian of Islam's holiest sites, Saudi Arabia exerts significant religious influence in both countries. Moreover, Saudi Arabia is a major economic partner to both India and Pakistan, making it a key player in regional stability. The discreet diplomatic efforts of China and Saudi Arabia highlight the importance of regional actors in resolving conflicts. Their success in helping to broker the ceasefire demonstrates the effectiveness of this approach. The recent crisis in Kashmir unfolded rapidly, with each day bringing new developments and heightened anxieties. Understanding the chronology of events is crucial to grasping the complexities of the conflict and the efforts to resolve it. Here's a timeline of the key events leading up to the ceasefire. Wednesday, May 7th, Indian Air Force conducts airstrikes targeting alleged militant camps in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. India claims the strikes were preemptive, aimed at preventing imminent terrorist attacks. Pakistan denies harboring terrorists, vows retaliation for the violation of its sovereignty. Thursday, May 8th, Pakistan responds with artillery fire targeting Indian military positions along the line of control. Both sides exchange heavy artillery and mortar fire, resulting in casualties on both sides. International community expresses concern, calls for restraint and dialogue. Friday, May 9th, Pakistan claims to have shot down an Indian drone that intruded into its airspace. India releases footage of what it claims is a Pakistani drone being intercepted by its air defense systems. Diplomatic efforts intensify with the US, China, and Saudi Arabia urging de-escalation. Saturday, May 10th, a hotline message from a top Pakistani military official to his Indian counterpart initiates communication. After hours of negotiations, a ceasefire agreement is reached between India and Pakistan. The truce goes into effect at 3:35 p.m. local time, bringing a fragile peace to the region. Sunday, May 11th, both India and Pakistan accuse each other of violating the ceasefire, raising concerns about its durability. International community welcomes the truce but urges both sides to address the underlying causes of the conflict. This timeline illustrates the speed at which the situation escalated and the critical role played by international diplomacy in preventing a wider war. The ceasefire, while fragile, represents a crucial step towards de-escalation and a return to dialogue. The ceasefire agreement, while a welcome respite from the violence, remains precarious. Both India and Pakistan have accused each other of violating the truce in the hours and days since it came into effect. These accusations, while difficult to verify independently, underscore the deep-seated mistrust and the challenges of maintaining peace in such a volatile environment. The ceasefire agreement, as it stands, is limited in scope. It primarily focuses on halting the exchange of fire along the line of control. It does not address the underlying political issues that sparked the conflict, such as the disputed status of Kashmir or the presence of militant groups operating in the region. Without addressing these root causes, the ceasefire is likely to remain fragile and prone to collapse. Moreover, the domestic political climate in both countries complicates the path to a lasting peace. In India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist government has taken a hard line on Kashmir, raising tensions with Pakistan. Despite its fragility, the ceasefire provides a window of opportunity for dialogue and diplomacy. The recent ceasefire agreement between India and Pakistan offers a glimmer of hope in a long-running and often violent conflict. However, the path ahead remains fraught with challenges. The truce, while welcome, is merely a pause in the fighting, not a solution to the underlying issues that divide these two nuclear-armed neighbors. The international community has a crucial role to play in supporting dialogue and confidence-building measures between India and Pakistan. China, the United States, and Saudi Arabia, having played a role in brokering the ceasefire, must now leverage their influence to encourage a sustained and meaningful peace process. This process must address the legitimate aspirations of the Kashmiri people, who have long borne the brunt of the conflict. Ultimately, the future of Kashmir lies in the hands of India and Pakistan. Both countries must recognize that a military solution to the conflict is impossible, and that dialogue and compromise are the only viable path to lasting peace. The ceasefire, though fragile, represents a step in the right direction.